Hello, everyone. Welcome to Barca News. It is May 15th, 2024, and Xavi Hernandez has addressed the whole Vitor Roque fiasco during the press conference. Also, Nico Williams is one step closer to Barcelona. And finally, the club have received a huge boost in Xavi Simons' pursuit. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Mo and this is the Barca News, the live podcast where I get to share Barcelona news with you, but I also get to interact with you lovely people in the chat section by reading your comments out loud, answering any questions, and getting that discussion going. For those of you who will be watching the podcast once it ends, I will be putting timestamps in the description and chapters in the timeline in case you do want to skip through the description. Now, today we are starting the podcast a little bit early. It's usually at 6:30 p.m. We're starting it at 5:30 because I do have an event. I have to go to a work-related event later on. So that's why I'm starting early. I'm also going to keep this podcast short because I have to shower, change, get out of here because I do have that work event. Anyways, having said all of that, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment. All of this helps this channel continue to grow. Now, let's begin with the news because tomorrow is match day, or as the song says, un día de partit, which is Catalan for match day. And Barcelona will be facing off against Almeria in what will be another opportunity for Barcelona to increase their lead over Girona. Of course, Barcelona are currently in second place, 1 point ahead of Girona. Girona just lost their respective match against Villarreal, so they dropped 3 points. So if Barcelona win tomorrow, we can increase our lead to 4 points over Girona, securing not 100%, but securing that second place, which Barcelona are in dire need of finishing in. Because as I've explained many times, Barcelona finished second. They get 7.5 million euros on TV rights more, plus they get 6 million euros from participating in the Spanish Super Cup. So that's 14 million euros on the line for Barcelona, and that's why they need to finish second. Now, as usual, there was a pre-match press conference where Xavi participated, and he addressed a myriad of topics, but one of them was, of course, the Vitor Roque situation, since we have been talking a lot about it, and this is what Xavi had to say about the Brazilian player, and I'll make this bigger, and I will also take my logo off. But Xavi said the intention was not for Vitor to come in December, for him to stay there in Brazil. The option was opened up with the injuries of Gavi and Balde. We believed it was for the best. This is a debate that, for me, does not make sense. He is learning. There are footballers ahead of him who are in better conditions, and that is why he plays less. These things have happened all my life. So Xavi Hernandez explaining, the reason why Vitor Roque is not getting minutes, the reason why he's not playing, is because he's just arrived, he's still learning, and there are other footballers ahead of him who are in better conditions, and that's why he hasn't been playing. And, I do have to kind of agree with Xavi here because I have seen a lot of comments lately, and people are angry about what's going on with Vitor Roque. But I think people are angry for the wrong reason. And I think a lot of people are missing the point of why this is a fiasco, because it's not the fact that Xavi is not giving Roque minutes, or the fact that Roque is this huge, big star that Xavi will not use or refuses to use. That's not why you should be angry. You should be angry because how the club managed the whole signing. Because if Xavi says that Roque is not good enough for the team, or that if Roque is not ready to play in the team yet, I believe him. I have no reason to doubt him. After all, he's the coach. He sees Vitor Roque every single day for several hours, day after day, week after week, month after month. He sees what we don't see because we only see Roque when and if he plays, which has been very little. But Xavi sees Roque every day. He sees whether he's learning or not learning the concepts. He sees how he's performing during the drills. He sees how he's performing during those matches that they play amongst them. So he sees Roque every day. And if Xavi says that Roque is not good enough for the team, or if Roque is not ready to play for the team, then I believe him. I have no reason to doubt him. After all, if there's one thing that Xavi does correctly is identify talent. There's a lot of things you can criticize Xavi, and I've done it myself. I don't think Xavi is good at developing a system of play or developing an identity for the team or tactics or anything like that. I've said it a million times. I don't think Xavi's doing a good job in that arena. But when it comes to identifying talent, I think Xavi has done a good job. He's the one who gave Lamine Yamal a chance, who gave Pau Cubarsí a chance. He's the one who bet on Fermin Lopez. He's the one who benched Joao Felix when everybody told us that he's an amazing player, and obviously he's not. He's the one who benched Jordi Alba in order to give an 18-year-old named Alejandro Balde, whom the club wanted to loan out, but Xavi saw his potential and gave him an opportunity. Xavi's the one who's called up a lot of players from the academy to the first team, players like, Margiu, like Hector Ford. It's Xavi who has told Barcelona to keep an eye on Marc Bernal because he believes that Bernal has what it takes to become the future pivot. So there's one thing that Xavi knows how to do is identify talent. And if Xavi does not think that Roque is ready or that Roque is good enough, then I have no reason to doubt him. And I believe him 100%. Now, why you should be angry is why Barcelona spent 60 million euros on a player who wasn't good enough. Or in case he's not ready, why did Barcelona pay extra money to bring a player early on when he wasn't ready? That's where the problem really lies. Because we don't have a lot of money. We don't have a lot of financial fair play. And we're spending the very little amount of money and the very little amount of financial fair play to sign a player that's not good enough for the club. And that's not good. That's a big problem. And it's even a bigger problem when you realize that the club has been doing this a lot lately. They spent 55 on Ferran, who's not good enough. They spent 60 million on Rafinha, who's not good enough. They spent 45 million on Lewandowski, on an aging Lewandowski, and then gave him an ascending contract. Whose bright idea was to give Lewandowski an ascending contract, saying, hey, you're getting older, and the older you get, the slower you're going to get, the worse you're going to get. But don't worry, because the worse you get, we're still going to give you even more money. That makes a lot of sense, right? And now they turn around, and they spend 60 million on Roque, who is not good enough, or maybe he's just not ready. So why did you bring him early if he's not ready? And that's where the problem lies. It's not the fact that Xavi's not giving Roque minutes. It's the fact that the club spent all this money on a player that is either not good enough or that is not ready. And that's a problem because the club under Laporta are repeating the same mistakes as the club under Bartomeu. Because Bartomeu spent hundreds of millions on players who weren't good enough for Barcelona and on ascending contracts for aging players. And it's thanks to those mistakes that the club came to the verge of bankruptcy. And Laporta and his board are now repeating the same mistakes. Now, the mistakes are not as egregious as Bartomeu's, but they're repeating the same mistakes. And that's what you should truly be angry about, not about the fact that Xavi is not, using Roque or he has this big star. By the way, I don't understand how people can be so confident about how great Roque is when none of us have seen him play. I'm not saying he's bad, but I'm not saying he's great either because I haven't seen it. And again, if Xavi says that he's not good enough or he's not ready, that's exactly what it means. Because if Roque was this big star that many of you swear he is, he would be playing. Because we're not in a position to have big stars sit on the bench. We're in a position where we have to depend on a 16-year-old Lamine Yamal to save us because he's one of the very few players that make a difference. So if Roque was truly a difference maker, like a lot of people are swearing he is, he will be playing. Now, you might say, well, if he doesn't get a chance, how he's going to prove himself? Let's be honest here. Coaches can't tell during practice if a player is not good enough or if he's not ready. This whole myth that a player needs to play in a match in order for the coach to determine how good he is, that's just a myth. That's always been the case in every sport, not just football, since the invention of sports. Coaches can tell if a player is not good enough in training, then doesn't have to play a match. Like, where did this come from that you have to play a match in order for the coach to know whether you're good enough or not? Then what's the point of practices? What's the point of trainings? We've all been on teams where we had a coach here and there who didn't play us because what they saw in practice they didn't like. So I think people are definitely missing the point with Vitor Roque. Your anger should not be because he's not getting minutes. It's because how the club handled this whole situation, where the club continues to spend the very little money we have on players that are not good enough. Or maybe in the case of Roque, he is good enough, but he's not ready. In that case, why the hell did you bring him early Should have kept him in Brazil so he can continue growing and continue developing. And no, Xavi's not racist against Brazilians like I've seen some people suggest. Like, God help us. I mean, if he was, why does he keep starting Rafinha, who's also Brazilian? Or, oh, Xavi's racist against black players, then why does he keep starting Araujo and Kunde and Lamine and Rafinha, who are all black? Or, oh, my favorite, Xavi likes Spanish players. Is that why 8 out of the 11 starters are not Spanish? Is that how much Xavi loves Spanish players, where 3/4 of his team are not Spanish? Like, we need to stop being irrational about these things and emotional about these things and think about it more rationally and do a little more critical thinking rather than just throw whatever we want to throw out there to try to justify the situation, because this situation is being mishandled 100%. But it's not because Roque is not getting the minutes when he loves this club and he chose our club. When have you ever seen a football club give minutes to a player because he loves the club or he's passionate about the club? This is a football club, not a charity. You get minutes based on your performance. If you're good enough, you get minutes. If not, you don't. You don't get minutes because you chose our club over others. Who cares? This is a football club. It's based on merit, just like any other team in the world. So that's what I want to say about Vitor Roque. Yes, this whole situation has been mishandled, but it's being mishandled by the club, who continues to bring these signings that make absolutely no sense. It's not because Roque is not getting minutes or Xavi hates him. Anyways. Let's do the chat section, and then we will talk about Nico Williams. And here we go. All right. Roger says, good afternoon, Mo. What's up, Roger? Thank you for tuning in all the way from Trinidad and Tobago. And Tabin says, we absolutely knew both of these amazing players. Can't wait. I'm guessing you're talking about Nico and Xavi Simons, which I will talk about in a little bit. And Danielle says, hey, Mo, love your videos, and you always tell the truth. Watching from Puerto Rico. All right. What's up, Daniel? Thank you for tuning in, my friend. I love Puerto Rico. Let me know down below where in Puerto Rico. I've been to Puerto Rico several times. I love the island. I love the people. I think it's always a great time. So I'm just curious what part of Puerto Rico. I also, my first 5 years as an attorney, I represented a lot of clients from Puerto Rico, hundreds of cases. So let me know. I'm curious. Mr. Prince says, Mo, your beard is growing already. It is. I grow beards very quickly, by the way. This was like, what, 2 days ago that I shaved, 3 days ago? And yeah, my beard grows very fast. Faster than a kid in puberty. Olaimi says, what is wrong with Barca board about Vitor Roque news? I'm not sure what you're talking about. If you can clarify, that'd be amazing. I haven't heard anything. But anyways, Israel says, hey, Mo, thanks for keeping us updated, and I really like your videos. Thank you for watching, my friend, and for supporting. And Saeed says, I think Xavi's angry because if the club was able to sign Vitor 30 for 30, why didn't they bring him a DM in the first place? I mean, I'm sure Xavi wasn't happy about the fact that they brought Roque in when he was asking for a defensive midfielder or a pivot, but I don't think that's why. I don't think Xavi would bench a big star who's able to make a big difference, who's able to help Barcelona win, like so many people are claiming, when he definitely needs it, you know? So I don't think, I'm sure he wasn't happy about it, but I don't think he's doing it out of spite. Well, anyways, Tapin says, why not sell Ferran and Roberto to the Saudis if Barca desperately want money? We can't sell Roberto. Roberto's contract expires this summer, so we will not be able to sell him. Ferran, Barcelona tried to sell him last summer. He didn't want to leave. We'll see if he wants to leave this summer. And I don't think there's interest from the Saudis in Ferran. But even if there is, again, the player will have to agree. A lot of people, when they comment, they forget one big thing about loans and sales, etc. is the players have to still agree. They're not like a chattel. They're not a car. They're not a slave that you can just sell. Everybody has to come into agreement. Barcelona, who are doing the selling, they have to want to sell the player. The club who wants to buy the player want to have to agree to buy the player, and the player has to agree to leave. So it's not just like, sell this player. Okay. They have to agree. And that was a big problem last summer, is that Barcelona tried to sell Ferran, but he said no. Anyways, let's move on, because we do have to talk about Nico Williams, because he is one step closer to Barcelona. Now, Barcelona continue discussions and talks with Nico Williams' agent and things are continuously moving in a positive direction. Now, as I told you before, Deco's number one bet is Nico Williams for the left wing. Barcelona need to sign or need to reinforce two positions this summer, the pivot position and the left wing. The pivot, we'll see who we get. There's several options, Subimendi, Kimmich, Onana, etc. And then there's the left wing where Barcelona have decided it will be Nico Williams. So there is no maybe this guy, maybe that. Nico Williams is the chosen one for the left wing. And as such, Deco has been in charge of negotiations, of talking with Nico Williams' agent to make sure, the player wants to come. Of course, the player, as I told you in a previous video, has expressed his interest in joining Barcelona. He wants to come. He likes the project. He wants to play with his friends, Lamine Yamal, Kouarsi, Alejandro Balde. So the player is excited about the possibility, and now Barcelona have received the official green light from the agent and the player saying that if Barcelona do make a move for him, he will green light that move and he will come to Barcelona. Now, what's the only obstacle in this whole operation is, of course, the 50 million euro release clause that the player has, because in order for Barcelona to be able to pay that, first they have to reach the 1-1 rule, which Barcelona are hoping to do that through the Nike contract renewal by receiving that 100 million euro signing bonus. With that 100 million, Barcelona could achieve the 1-1 rule. But once you're in the 1-1 rule, Barcelona will still have to sell someone. Whether it's Ferran, whether it's Rafinha, they'll have to sell someone in order to use that money to sign Nico. Now, if Barcelona can achieve the 1-1 and sell a player and generate enough funds to pay those 50 million, Nico Williams will be a Barcelona player 100%. Because he has already told Barcelona through his agent that he will green light the operation as soon as Barcelona make a move. Of course, as far as Athletic Club de Bilbao, they don't have to agree to anything because it's a release clause. As long as you pay the release clause, the player is yours, and the player has said yes. The club have said yes. Everybody's in agreement. But of course, Barcelona have to reach the 1-1 rule and then sell a player in order to make this happen. All right, let's do more comments, and then we will talk about Xavi Simons, because Barcelona have received a boost in the pursuit of the Dutch midfielder. All right, let's see. Where did we leave it? I swear, I'm going to start just ignoring the comments that talk about Spanish players this and Spanish players that, because it's getting ridiculous. If that's the only analysis that you can conjure up is, oh, it's a Spanish players, and then I feel bad for you because, like I said, 8 out of 11 starters are not even Spanish. And even if they were, the fuck do you expect? It's Barcelona. They play in Spain, in a Spanish fucking league. Of course it's going to have Spanish players. Like, what is going on, people? Has our collective IQ as a human race dropped this low to where that's the only reasoning we can come up with? Players' nationalities? Like, Pep Guardiola has a lot of English players on his team. Is anyone saying, oh, Pep Guardiola prefers English players? Of course not. That'd be fucking stupid. Of course he does English players. He plays in England. Same with Bayern. They have a lot of German players. Why? Because they're in Germany. Like, what is going on? Like, gotta help us. Okay. Mzingaya says, but Xavi have done all that good. Does that still cancel the possibility of him having some bad blood with some players? I mean, maybe. But I don't know. But if he's submitted reports to the club that show why Roque is not ready or not fit to be a Barca player, Anyways, Cherno says, hi, Mo. Thank you very much for your wonderful job. You are my only source of getting information about Barca. I stopped watching our games the day we lost to Real Madrid in the second leg. I'm sorry to hear that, my friend. I don't blame you. But, hang in there. Hang in there. Alexander Ronnie says, hey, Mo, I'm excited to catch the live broadcast today. Keep doing a good job, man. Sending love from Zambia. Thank you, my friend. Thank you, Alexander. Thank you for tuning in and for your comment. All right, let's see. And Oliemi says, for me, Xavi Simons, I don't really have much scope about him at all. Not too super. I think you're trying to say you're not very confident about him. I think so. But anyways, All right, let's talk about Xavi Simons. Someone brought it up. That's the perfect segue into the next bit of news. Because Xavi Simons' agent, Darren Dane, has officially met with PSG in order to discuss the future of Xavi Simons. Now, we know that Xavi Simons is currently on loan with Leipzig. He'll be coming back to PSG at the end of the season because that's who his contract is with, PSG, until 2027. So his agent today met with PSG to see what's the plan. Does PSG count on the player? Does PSG want to offload the player? Does PSG want to loan the player? What the situation is? And we have good news, or at least good news for us as FC Barcelona. Now, in case you don't know who Darren Dane is, and this is important for the whole operation, but Darren Dane not only is Xavi Simons' agent, he's an incredibly close friend of Joan Laporta. They are very, very close together. Him and his entourage have helped the club a lot. He was instrumental in Thierry Henry coming from Arsenal to Barcelona. And most recently, he was very instrumental in Barcelona striking that agreement with Spotify for the sponsorship deal. So this is very important because obviously Laporta has a very good relationship with Xavi Simons' agent, which of course in any operation, that's a huge boost for the club. Now, what is the news? What came out of this meeting? Well, what came out of this meeting is that PSG told Xavi Simons' agent that they are not looking to offload him on a permanent basis this summer, and that most likely the player will be going out on another loan in the summer. Now you say, how is this good news? Well, it's good news because, as I told you before, Xavi Simons has a special clause in his contract that if he is sent out on loan, he is allowed to choose what team he can go on loan to. We know Xavi Simons is dying to come back to Barcelona. He's been dying to come back to Barcelona ever since he left. And we know that Xavi Hernandez would like to have Xavi Simons on his team. So much so that now Xavi Simons has taken priority over Bernardo Silva. Xavi prefers Xavi Simons over Bernardo Silva. So Barcelona want him. He wants Barcelona. And if PSG send him out on loan, which that's what they told the agent, then this will happen because, again, Xavi Simons could choose which club he can go to if he's sent out on loan. And since he wants Barcelona and Barcelona want him, he will most likely end up in Barcelona. But again, this is only if PSG send him out on loan. Now, this is what they said to the agent, but we don't know. Luis Enrique could always change his mind during the preseason and say, you know what, I want Xavi Simons to stay. In that case, he won't come. But if he is sent out on loan, he will come to Barcelona. And that's what PSG told the player's agent, that they are not ready to sell him yet, which is good news because had they been ready to sell him, it'd be over for us because we cannot afford the 60 million that PSG want for the player. But if he's sent out on loan, we can afford that because all we have to do is cover his salary. All right, let's see. The Matrix says Vitor was showing good size in the early minutes. He was getting, and the moment he got that red card, nothing from him. I agree. Let's see. Barca Forever says, I don't see evidence of any drills were practiced. Even if we accept Roque isn't good, is Ferran little that I've seen if Roque is better than Ferran, except that Ferran movements are better. I mean, look, I've always said Ferran is not Barca level. He should have never been signed. This is Alemany signing. But if you have players who are both not good enough, you're going to have to pick which is a little better than the other. And when it comes to Ferran, he has been playing in La Liga for many, many years. He played with Valencia, and then he left to Man City. He came back with Barcelona. So Ferran is someone who's already established in La Liga, who has experience in La Liga. Roque doesn't. So if they're both not good enough, then Ferran has an edge over Roque because of his experience, because he's already established. You know, not to say that Ferran is great because he's not. I think Barcelona should sell Ferran, which they have tried to sell Ferran. I don't know where people were getting their news from saying that Barcelona are giving preferential treatment to Ferran Torres. I don't know. But anyways, let's see. What else? What else? King City FC says Tebas waving Mbappe pictures in every corner of Spain. Yeah, that guy doesn't even try to hide how much of a Madrid fan he is. But anyways, the Matrix says De Jong and go. He averaged can go. I think that's what he meant. He averaged for 90% of the games he played in. I'm at this point. I'm for selling Frankie because his salary is incredibly high, and if he doesn't want to lower it, then I think a better option would be to sell him. Plus, he's already 27. He's never been the Ajax Frankie that we all expected him to be. And at this point, I don't think he will be. So, Chris, with the donation, thank you, my friend, for your donation and for your support. Chris is always watching the live streams, always commenting on the videos, and active in the chat section. So thank you, my friend. PG Movie says, hi, Mo. How about Onana? Has Barca forgotten about him? It's not that. Barcelona have moved on from him because they were hoping. The only way Barcelona were hoping to sign Onana was if Everton got either relegated or got very close to the relegation, where Barcelona could leverage that before the season's end. Like saying, hey, you're going to get relegated. Like, you better sell him to me now for a low price before you get relegated and the player gets even cheaper. But that didn't happen. Everton pulled away from relegation. So not only are they not getting relegated, they are away from relegation zone. So that's when Barcelona decided, okay, because Everton are looking to cash in on the player and Barcelona simply cannot afford. The last figure, they were saying 60, but some were even saying Everton would want 70 or even 80, and they would want cash. So it's not even like, you can negotiate a deal. But all right, let's see. What else? Sherkute says Barca should concentrate in signings. We can sell Rafinha and Ferran and Romeo to solve our problem, because if we didn't sign 3 to 4 players, we will lose some trophies next season. So Romeo will be sold back to Girona. They're talking about 2-3 million euros, pretty much the same amount we bought him for. So that's happening. Rafinha and Ferran, I really hope so. The problem is both players want to stay. Now, Rafinha has said he would leave if Xavi asked him to leave, and it would only be to the Premier. So we'll see. If we could sell both, Rafinha and Ferran, that'd be great, because then we can sign Nico and maybe a pivot, depending on how much we can get for Ferran and Rafinha. All these reports talking about 80 million for Rafinha, I highly doubt it. I don't see anyone in their right mind paying 80 million for Rafinha. Why would you? We paid 60 for him, and he has only he's lost value. So I don't see people paying 80 million for Rafinha. Ferran, forget about it. If we can get 20 million for him, that'd be a great day. Okay, let's see. Zingaya says, have we ever played De Jong in his preferred position? The answer is barely so, but we busy here ridiculing him. We have played De Jong in a double pivot. He has worked out in a double pivot, but guess what? Barcelona does not play in a double pivot. So we cannot change our whole scheme of play just to fit a player. It's the opposite. Players come here and they adapt to us. We don't adapt to them. When have you ever seen Barcelona adapting their whole philosophy just so one player can play right? That's not how it works. You come to Barca, you adapt to Barca, not the other way around. If you cannot adapt to Barca, then you need to leave. Simple as that. All right. Anyways, that is all the news. I got to go. I got to shower. I got to leave. I have that event. Thank you guys for tuning in. I will be uploading another video later tonight. I don't know how late I'm going to be out, but it'll be later. Anyways, thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment. And as always, peace, Barca.